Thank you, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Good, good, okay. So let's get to the about. So my name is, you can call me Charles, and today I want to talk about charity and why I have been sold the idea that charity doesn't work anymore. After 2 months of my documentary shooting in China and 1 month in Cambodia and a lot of research. So what I'm going to do is selling you this idea in the next 10 minutes. So these photos are what I took from Siem Reap back into Cambodia when I was there as a volunteer to initiate several educational programs to help the kids who don't have places to be educated. But after 1 month, me and my team realized that these people, these kids, they're more willing to beg for tourists and help the parents to collect the resources from nonprofit sectors instead of going to class. And why is that? Because you think they thought that food and water are more important than education? No, of course not. Because this is not what they thought. It is what they need. And not just in Cambodia, because homeless charities are not coming close to ending up any homelessness in any major cities. So those are 2 facts. Number 1, which is the definition of the charity, and I quoted from the Oxford Dictionary. It says, raising money and helping people in need, showing kindness and empathy, which directly leads to this, and there's numerous numbers and research showed that charity is still vital to the society, and public still believe that. And number 2, poverty has existed for 3,000 years. Okay? So based on these 2 facts, what we can see is charity has nothing to do with poverty. Charity has nothing to do with solving poverty issues. And not just homeless, including malnutrition, starving, and mental problems. So even if the poverty has already remained stuck at 12% in the US for 40 years, so charity is not stopping poverty at all. It literally maintaining it, and that is every Chinese student use this phrase that they're writing. It's called sustainable development, with the sustainable development block. So that's what charity is doing to poverty. So the thing is, charity and organizations, these nonprofit sectors, they're actually undermining the causes we love and the profound yearning of changing the world. So far, I want you guys at least starting questioning about the charity, about even if we still believe that the charity has continued to play the serious role in changing the world. So why these poverty issues cannot be fixed by charity? One of the problems is these social problems, they're massive in scale. And, I guess I have it. Okay. So, because most of these social problems, they're so massive in scale, and our organizations, they're so tiny up against them. And we still have the belief system that keeps them tiny. And that's why for the first year, and since all of these organizations was built, the best men and women who pool the resources and share the collect visions. What? Okay, I saw that. So the best men and women who pool the resources and share the collect visions to leave behind a brighter future, but with a lifelong economic sacrifice. Okay, let me use my voice to against that. Okay, with a lifelong economic sacrifices, because you're going to have that kind of money to maintain this market. And there's the Business Week data survey, which look at the composition of the MBAs 10 years out of business schools. And this is the median composition from a Stanford MBAs, added bonus at the average of 38, $400,000. And meanwhile, at the same time, the salary for the CEO at the 5 million plus medical charity in the US was $200,000. And the 100 charity, $84,000. Now, there's no way you can put a lot of $400,000 talent to make $300,000 sacrificed every year to become the CEO of 100 charity. Okay? Okay, maybe you think these NBA guys are greedy and selfish, but ask yourself, what would you choose? And what's more ironically is most of the donation, they're still coming from the NBA guys. So, let's go back to the definition of charity. It says sympathy. And all we know that unlimited sympathy leads to indulgence and spoil. And that is exactly what happened back to the Cambodia's children. These children had the idea which against the common sense. It's called, when you feed a man a fish, you feed him a day. When you teach a man how to fish, you feed him a life. And what are these children thinking is, why should I go to school if I have the free lunch and dinner every day at home? And their parents are willing them to help them. Okay? And another circumstance is most of the resources from the nonprofit sectors, they're most ended up in the wrong hands, mostly organized and state criminals, the violent people, rape criminals, and mostly back in Africa. So what's the alternatives? What's the solution? And what's the ultimately way to shape the entire situation? Social business. I'm not saying the social business is a perfect solution, but one of the advantage is it follows the basic economy theory. It follows the rule of greedy and selfish. Because when you really start thinking about the money you invest, you really start caring about your investments, then you're going to start very carefully about the detail of the contract, because they're thinking about profit, you're thinking about benefits. You don't want your money to be a one-way deal. You want it in a long loss, okay? So the first example, it's called Dreamian Bank, which was founded by the Nobel Peace Prize. It's called Muhammad Yunus. It's an India bank which is owned by the poor. As we know, most of the conventional banks, they're owned by rich people. But this bank, it loan money to the people who truly have the desire to make a living by their own intelligence, okay? And Muhammad Yunus, they offer credits. So basically, it's that I offer you the money, and you pay it back, and I offer you credits. And you have more credits, you can get more money. You can get more loans, so you can start your business, like your livestock, your crops, and whatever you wanted to do. And this performance shows exactly these people prove the thing that these people, they truly have the ability to pay back, and they did. Because it makes sense to them. That's always simple. It makes sense. Okay? And another story is my first documentary. It was filmed by one of the most isolated villages in China. And I have a small trailer, which for the total 60 minutes film, it's less than a minute. So why did you guys just feel about it? this is a story about a father and son who spent their entire year across mountains by mountains, rivers by rivers, villages by villages to offer open air cinemas for the people that is in the most isolated areas in the village. So this way they connect the people and they make the people to be educated. So, okay, what I'm going to say is, it is not about giving anymore. It is not about kindness and sympathy anymore. It is about legacy. It is about what we choose to leave behind for the next generation. And that's why these men and those and this bank in India, they're trying to do the things right and also making the future mutual benefits. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Audience? How long were you in Cambodia, did you say?
1 month
1 month?
as a volunteer.
And did your opinion kind of shape from the time you were there? In other words, did you change from when you first arrived to when you left?
I
to kind
didn't
of take this.
realize that's the problem because of the charity. I just thought these people, they really need those food and water, so they choose not to go to class instead of collecting this food because they go very fast every day because the non-profit sector, they go in this place like every week and things just seem so bad. Yes.
So how do you think people in a third world country that have no access to medicine and food and are starving and are sick, how would one of these programs that you're talking about actually help them?
Well, if you're talking about the development country, like the U.S., but like I presented, there's still 12% of the poverty still in the U.S. Like I said, the social business is about creating a mutual benefit systems. So I'm not sure that is what's happening in the U.S., but I also know there's a program called Conditional Transfer Payments, which is initiated in the United States in the 1960s. And they use conditional transfer money projects like I give you the money, but with a conditional. You have to go to school, you have to use that money to start whatever the business you want, but only you have to pay it back. So
I understand how micro lending works, and I understand that whole principle. My question is, how can a person actually start a business if they're too sick or too hungry to
Yes.
actually use that money?
That is a good question. The theory about what Muhammad Yunus did, that he said because when a man have nothing, then you have nothing to lose, and when you have nothing, you have the priority to get attractions. So yeah, we're talking about a long-term investigation or reservation to confirm that these men, whether if it has the ability to pay it back. So you have to start somewhere. And not all people apply this, absolutely, but it's a good start. Okay.
Charles, you started with the pictures of African children, and you ended up with the bank which give credits and loans money to the people, for people. Personally, I think it is reasonable that the bank can be used in a very good way in the society like India because it has some infrastructures and also the market there. But I have a question whether that kind of solution can be applied to the people in like Africa or the people in places without infrastructures, as you mentioned, some isolated places in China.
Yeah, back to Africa, mostly they use a way that they call up local people to become a worker to build the infrastructure. That is what China put lots of money, puts a lot of investment on China to starting infrastructures like Huawei. They're building the technology statement basement in Africa, and they hiring those men who doesn't have the income, who doesn't have the ability to make a living of their own. And I know this is This is a long way, but but one thing for sure, what used to be about the charity organization, the way they did, it's not working. Yes.
Do you think there will be some day that the nonprofit organizations will change their models to the social business, or if you think it's better for those two kind of models to exist together and to get a better result?
Well, that surely is a way to proceed this, but like I presented numbers that you only have these kind of less money. You have more money to offer a MBA students, but you have enough money to offer a Hungry Charity CEO. So how can these talents can switch? How can they working together? Still the issue to strike a balance between these kind of two groups talents. Yes.
I really like your topic, and I think it's very eye-catching when you say like something doesn't work anymore. But I think it would be more safe if you add some hedges to your topic, like charity doesn't work in some fields, so that as the professor mentioned, in this way you can avoid people asking you like, how about medicine, how about like education, or in those fields. I think in those fields charity is still the like one only method, only way to solve the problem.
Well, what I said before is based on what I'm experiencing. So what I'm experiencing is from the topic of charity, topic of education. I see there's problems during these people wanting to offer education to these poverty children, and here's the problem, because I didn't do a lot of research on medical, but of course in disease.
So that's why I say probably maybe because the topic is very absolute, like charity doesn't work anymore, like in any field. So that's.
I believe they're kind of sharing the same fundamental ideas.
Okay.
Last question. You in your very beginning, you made a really fundamental argument that charity doesn't work because of the definition of the charity, and the poverty rate has existed for 3,000 years. So my question, or that's my idea, is that maybe the poverty existed for years is not because charity doesn't work, but because the current new colonialism or new imperialism still hurting these people, and there's also war happening over years that maybe poverty still exists for years.
That is interesting, because you mean that it's because the system, because the environment that people are engaging. And yes, because even as a social entrepreneur, even as a social business, you cannot alter the political system, you cannot alter the fundamental fundamentals of the country, of government. So what you can do is you can build a deal with people. That's what you can do. So maybe about the system environment, they cannot be solved once and for all, like geographic isolations. So yeah, I guess. Okay.
So, just one more question, Big Hammer. Would you say, based on this discussion, this line of questioning, that there's still may be circumstances where charity is required?
Yes, where charity is absolutely necessary to deal with what's happening now, like they're lacking of food, they're lacking of water, and that's why we've given them. But all I'm saying is it's not a long way. It's like you have to make it real sustainable development. You have to tell these people to starting their own business, and that is how you can solve the poverty once and for all, and not just using the donations and giving.
Okay, so I get the context and you put it all together.
Yes.
It makes sense. Okay, all right, guys, let's give it up for Charles.